Yo, what is going on, everybody? I am back. Yes, after 6 months, I am finally uploading another video. Well, first of all, Happy New Year's, everyone. And today's video is that time of year where everyone ranks their top 25 coasters. Even if you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't do YouTube videos, you definitely have some sort of top 25, top 10, your favorite coasters if you're an enthusiast. But today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 25 favorite coasters that I've ridden in 2023. And yes, you may be saying, well, you're uploading this in 2024. It's my 25 favorite 2023. I'll do a 2024 list at the end of next year, or this year technically. But before we get into it, just remember, these are my opinions and my opinions only. You may not agree. And actually, I've done a lot of like shuffling around the list. And in fact, actually, I rode so many new coasters this year that a good part of my coasters that were on my list last year are no longer even on it this year. In fact, actually this year I did end up breaking my 200th coaster, which is crazy. I think I rode like 80 something new credits. So let's just get into it, and yeah, let's start. But coming at the number 25 spot is Steel Eel from SeaWorld San Antonio. This is a crazy good Morgan mini hyper. Despite it might be not the size of some of the other Morgan hypers out there, it is such a powerful thing. Every hill gives great airtime, including the second half of the ride is filled with some great airtime as well. The first drop is one of my favorite first drops on a coaster because of how abrupt it is, and overall it's just an absolutely amazing coaster, and it's definitely a must do if you go to SeaWorld San Antonio. And yeah, it's just great. You gotta do it. Coming on the number 24 spot is another newcomer to the list. This is TMNT Shellraiser from Nickelodeon Universe and the American Dream Mall. Wow, this coaster actually shocked me and how good it was, and also one of the scariest coasters I've ever ridden. You have no idea how scary that 121-degree drop is. By the way, a record-breaking drop. This is the coaster with the steepest drop ever built. Yeah, and you feel it. It's absolutely insane. Let me talk about some parts of this ride. The first launch is absolutely incredible. It's one of the most powerful launches out there, and the inversions are great. The back row is definitely smoother, but the front row, the single pothole it has at the bottom of the drop is okay. But besides that, this ride's absolutely amazing. It's definitely worth just the visit to go here. But the number 23 spot is the best GCI that I've ridden, Texas Stingray from SeaWorld San Antonio. This ride is absolutely incredible. For being a GCI that's located in Texas, this thing rides so smooth. And yes, it did open a few years ago, but it has some great airtime. I love the transitions. The laterals is great. And overall, what SeaWorld did to this coaster in GCI, they made the ride so good. The layout is fantastic, mixing in the great pops of airtime that GCI is known for, as well as the great twister layout. I definitely think this is one of the most underrated coasters that is out there currently, and it's definitely a must ride at SeaWorld San Antonio. It's a very good wooden coaster. Definitely GCI's best creation I've done so far. But coming at the number 22 spot is one of many RMCs, Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Unfortunately, this is my least favorite RMC, but the fortunate thing is it's still a great ride. There is no bad RMC, and this is definitely a really good. The airtime this one gives is absolutely crazy. The transitions are insane, and the pacing is absolutely top tier. Definitely the best paced coaster on this list, probably. My only issue with the ride is just a little rough around the edges, and especially between some of the valleys, it's a pretty jackhammering roughness. But besides that, I think the ride is absolutely fantastic, and it's definitely a must do when I return to Six Flags Fiesta Tech. But coming at the number 21 spot is the other RMC Raptor that I've done, Jersey Devil Coaster from Six Flags Great Adventure. This is, in my opinion, slightly better than Wonder Woman, and my main reasoning is it's definitely smoother, but it is still an absolutely impressive coaster. In my opinion, if you sit in the back row, this is always will be a top 25 coaster. Any other row, it's still a good coaster, but it's definitely not the level that it is in the back. Specifically, the first drop is one of the best drops in the world if you're sitting in that back row, and the rest of the ride is absolutely amazing. The zero-G stall this ride features is one of my favorite zero-G stalls ever on the planet, and just overall, the rest of the ride is fantastic. It's definitely a must-do when you go to a Great Adventure, and is always, in my opinion, a great ride. But coming at the number 20 spot is Candemonium from Hershey Park. This used to be my favorite roller coaster by B&M, but it has dropped. My ride in 2023 was not as good as my rides in 2022, but besides that, it was still a great coaster. This is definitely like Mako, but just not as good. In my opinion, the second half of the ride this year just didn't run as well. The trim on the airtime hill towards the end really hit pretty hard, and it just killed the airtime that the hill had. And plus, I've ridden more B&M Hyper since this one, and I've definitely grown an appreciation of some of them. But still, this ride's absolutely amazing with some great airtime moments. It's just not my favorite B&M Hyper, and you'll see why it's not my favorite with the two others that are on this list. But it's still an incredible coaster. But coming at the number 19 spot is New Texas Giant from Six Flags Over Texas, the original RMC. Wow, is this ride still incredible? In my opinion, it's a fantastic ride. They took the old Texas Giant and converted it into this thing. It's absolutely amazing. The first drop catches me off guard every time in the back row, and the first part of the ride is actually crazy good. In my opinion, the second part of the ride is where the ride ends up dying off, but then it picks back up at the finale. But overall, New Texas Giant is an absolutely fantastic coaster and is definitely the best coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. But it is not the best RMC out there. In fact, it is probably one of the weaker ones, but still, any RMC is great and this one is fantastic. But coming at the number 18 spot is Montu from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. This is by far the best B&M inverted coaster out there. This ride is so good, it is so intense, and in my opinion, it has everything that I want in a B&M invert. By far one of the best elements, one of the best inversions out there with the Batwing. It is also the most intense moment on the ride. This ride is just fully amazing. The trenches also make the experience. The corkscrew towards the end of the ride is one of my favorite corkscrews, especially with just diving into the trench and out of it. And it's just crazy. I just absolutely love this ride. It's definitely one of my favorite coasters in the world, and it's definitely the second best coaster at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. If you go to Busch, this is definitely a ride you need to get on. But coming at the number 17 spot is the original Giga Coaster, Millennium Force from Cedar Point. This ride is so good. This is amazing. 310 feet tall. It is just a lot of fun. I love what the ride does, the amazing elements. Yes, this thing may not be the craziest airtime machine or the most intense coaster out there, but what it does do is deliver a very fun and enjoyable ride and just overall showcases some incredible speed. Especially if you can ride this ride in the front row. I think the front row is by far the best ride that you can get on this ride. Overall, Millennium Force is absolutely amazing, and it's definitely a must-do if you ever go to Cedar Point. Obviously, Cedar Point has some amazing coasters, and there's like quite a few more Cedar Point coasters to come on its list, but it's one of many that you gotta ride whenever you go to that park. Coming at the number 16 spot is Twisted Cyclone from Six Flags Over Georgia. Now, this is an absolutely amazing RMC. It is very small, but it's very powerful. Staying it only at a height of 100 feet, this ride packs a punch, featuring 3 inversions and some crazy airtime. Some of the very notable elements of this ride feature is the wave turn, the first drop, as well as the airtime bunny hills throughout the ride. This ride gives sustained ejector airtime, and it's very strong. It's no weak airtime at all. For a smaller coaster and for as short as it is absolutely amazing with some crazy, insane airtime, and it's definitely a very amazing coaster. And there's a reason why I place so high on this list despite being a very small attraction. But coming at the number 15 spot is Magnum XL200 from Cedar Point. This is an absolutely amazing aero hyper. It was actually the world's first hyper coaster, sitting at 205 feet. It is absolutely incredible. The first part of this ride is okay, but what really makes this ride and is why it's so high on my list is the finale. It is by far probably the best finale I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. You have this back-to-back triangle airtime hills giving thigh-crushing ejector airtime. It's like just as powerful as an RMC, if not, it actually hurts. If you can get room between you and the lap bar, it's amazing. But the rest of the ride is also a lot of fun. Just overall, I love Magnum XL200. It's a true vintage coaster that runs really well and is an absolutely amazing ride. But coming at the number 14 spot, this is an absolutely incredible coaster. This is Boardwalk Bullet from Kima Boardwalk. Wow, a wooden coaster this smooth. This is one of the most aggressive yet smooth wooden roller coasters in the world. This is a Gravity Group coaster, which if you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of Gravity Group coasters, but the ones that run PTC trains are so smooth. This thing gives so many moments of violent ejector airtime as well as crazy laterals, and especially with the amount of track and how long the ride is, fit in 1 acre of land, they really did everything they could and it's an amazing coaster. I don't think there would be any other way to make it any better. In fact, it's one of the best coasters in the world. My second favorite wooden coaster, but if you're ever in the area, you need to go out and ride this coaster immediately because it is that good. But coming at the number 13 spot is Goliath from Six Flags Over Georgia. Now, this is basing off of one ride in the back row, and it's ranking all the way up at my number 13 spot. Now, I think if I rode this more, I think it would be even higher, but even then, it is still an absolutely incredible coaster. This ride is filled with airtime after airtime, and it's one of those rare B&M hypers that are very long without a mid-course brake run, so you just fly through the whole layout, and the airtime is amazing. It's actually almost borderline ejector, especially on some of those last airtime hills towards the end. And overall, Goliath just has an amazing layout, going out past the park, outside of the property, and it's just an absolutely incredible incredible coaster. That double helix downwards is super intense. It's like the nitro helix, but just going down. Overall, it's an absolutely amazing coaster. I wish I got to ride it more, but it's definitely a must do when I return. But coming at the number 12 spot is my favorite B&M Hyper, Mako from SeaWorld Orlando. This has always been my favorite B&M Hyper, and it's absolutely incredible. It's the first B&M Hyper to feature the 5-second floater airtime hill. It has my favorite drop on a B&M Hyper. It's just overall a well-rounded ride that is perfectly smooth with some great elements. It's definitely an amazing coaster. Some of my favorite moments are the airtime hills. The first drop is my favorite first drop on a B&M coaster that I've experienced, and the rest of the ride is just amazing. Yes, it does have the lackluster ending, but it makes up for that full first half with the amazing airtime, borderline ejector airtime in some moments. It's definitely a must-do, and definitely one of Orlando's best coasters. But coming at the number 11 spot is a small coaster, but intense, Maverick from Cedar Point. This coaster is absolutely amazing. One of the best first drops, in my opinion, on a coaster, especially in that back row. 95 degrees on a 100-foot drop, that's pretty crazy. The airtime moments on this ride are also pretty good. My favorite part of the ride, honestly, is the snaps towards the end. They're so whippy. The second launch is also really good, and overall, this ride is just a really fun ride. In my opinion, it's a very rideable ride, but honestly, I think there is some parts of the ride that I think could be better, but still, for it to rank at my number 11 coaster, it's still really good. I love those snaps at the end and that one ejector hill. But kicking off the top 10, we have Twisted Timbers from King's Dominion. This is actually my first ever RMC. It is an RMC that is located in Doswell, Virginia, and is an absolutely incredible ride. This is literally the mini Steel Vengeance. It has so many airtime moments. So many airtime moments, I absolutely love it. My favorite part of the ride is personally the triple camelback. There are 3 sustained moments of ejector airtime. It's pretty hard to find those on an RMC coaster. Other favorite parts is the trick track double up. I also really enjoy the outer bank turn that this ride features. That is a crazy moment of lateral airtime. Overall, Twisted Timbers is absolutely amazing, and it's definitely a must do when you go to King's Dominion. But coming at the number 9 spot is Iron Rattler from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This coaster honestly shocked me on how good it was. I was not expecting it to rank this coaster this high. In my opinion, this is an underrated RMC. In my opinion, it has the best first drop on any RMC coaster. A violent double twist drop, especially if you're in the back row. The ride is so versatile and so much fun. This coaster was the first hybrid to feature inversion with the 0G roll. Us coaster enthusiasts like to nickname it the heaven roll. And even the airtime hills on top of the quarry wall still delivers some great airtime. I absolutely loved Iron Rattler on my visit, and it was definitely one of the main reasons why I wanted to do that Texas trip that I ended up doing. But coming at the number 8 spot is Skyrush from Hershey Park. This is an absolutely incredible Intamin hypercoaster. It's one of only 2 winged hypercoasters built by Intamin. It is so much fun. If you ride this coaster, you have to ride in the back row. For the first drop feels like a car crash. It is crazy. And the rest of the ride has great moments of sustained ejector airtime, as well as some fast-paced transitions with some very nice lateral moments throughout the ride. Overall, it's an absolutely amazing coaster. I got an amazing ride this year and absolutely loved it. It's definitely going to be a must-do when I go back to Hershey Park. Well, it's a must-do. Hershey Park just has one of the best coaster lineups in the world, and it's one of the top ones. But coming at the number 7 spot is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This was the first ever Giga Coaster I got to do, and it's still my favorite one. Even though I did this only once, I did it in the back row, and oh my gosh, was this experience amazing. That first drop is absolutely incredible, and then you have the blackout turns, where it's a sustained multiple seconds of 6+ Gs. It's absolutely crazy. The rest of the ride is also really fun with some crazy fast-paced transitions. This thing really holds the speed throughout the whole layout, and that's what I really like about it. You have some crazy airtime, as well as some fast-paced turns, and it's just amazing. The whole ride's just amazing, and that's why it ranks so high. But if that coaster wasn't good enough, my number 6 coaster is by far one of my favorites that I've ever done. I actually just fell in my top 5 recently. This is El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure. Yes, this year I got my best rides that I've ever gotten at El Toro. I thought it was running the best I've ever rode it at. It is so much fun. By far my favorite first drop ever on a roller coaster, especially in the back row. The double camelbacks are crazy good, and the Rolling Thunder Hill this year was finally hitting to what I remember it back in 2020. It was hitting really good this year. The ride was running really fast, especially with just half-empty trains. And I love what Great Adventure did to this ride. They've really made this ride a lot better with all the improvements. And absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, there are 5 coasters I think are way better than El Toro. So let's begin with those. But starting our top 5 is actually a new for 2023 coaster. This is Wildcat's Revenge from Hershey Park. This is one of the 2, I rode both RMCs and they're both on this list. This ride is absolutely amazing. It is definitely the mini Iron Gwazi, and it's just crazy. The first drop is amazing. I absolutely love this first drop. I don't know why. And it's a very small one as well. The airtime hill after the step up underflip is sustained and great. And just the ride is just well paced. It is one of my favorite 0G stalls because of how whippy it is going in and out. And we can't talk about this ride without talking about that double down, that unbanked double down, which is wild. The laterals are insane on it. And just the ride has so many great moments of airtime. The inversions complement the ride very well. And just overall, the ride is just a full package ride and it's definitely miles better than the original Wildcat. And that's coming from someone who actually liked the original Wildcat. Definitely a great addition to Hershey Park. Well, our number 4 coaster is Air Force One from Fun Spot America in Atlanta, Georgia. This coaster is absolutely incredible. This is Wildcat's Revenge, but even better. This ride has so much airtime. It is so fun. It is so good. This ride has some crazy moments of airtime, specifically the second camelback of the double up, which is absolutely sustained, and the quad down towards the end of the ride. That is some of the most thigh-killing ejector airtime I've ever experienced. This ride also, in my opinion, has the best pair of inversions ever on an RMC. The Raven Trust Dive gives a great moment of airtime before you invert. The 0G stall is my favorite 0G stall on the planet. The arcade roll is amazing, and the other roll is also amazing. This ride is just a well-rounded ride. I think if it was a little bit longer, I think I would rank it a lot higher, but then also it's already wild enough, then it probably already is long enough, but besides that, it's absolutely amazing, and it's definitely worth the trip just driving up to Georgia just to ride. Honestly, the best coaster in the state. Alrighty, and now we are in the top 3. Now, my top 3 is still fairly similar to last year, but I have put the order a little bit different. So, before we start it, here is how I have it. All these coasters could be my number 1, and honestly, they are changing all the time. So, let's begin. But coming at the number 3 spot is the Jurassic World Velocicoaster, Universal's Island of Adventure. Honestly, the best standard steel roller coaster in the world. This ride is the full package. Great elements, great airtime, great inversions, mixed in with fantastic theming. This ride is just everything. And if this is your number 1, I can completely understand because this ride is absolutely amazing. For a long time, this was my number 1 coaster as well. But besides that, there are some great elements. The Mosasaurus roll is the best inversion ever put on a roller coaster. That is just amazing. The moments of airtime are absolutely incredible, and the first part of the ride is also a lot of fun. Getting interactive rock work while getting airtime and some other fun elements is just a lot of fun. And honestly, that top hat is one of the best top hats in the world. Yes, it is a smaller top hat, but still the airtime is crazy. Overall, this coaster is absolutely amazing, and you have to do it if you're in the Orlando area. But number 2 is going to actually shock you, and this is Steel Vengeance from Cedar Point. Last year, this was my number 1 roller coaster. Now, it has fallen to my number 2, but it's okay. This ride is absolutely amazing. It's the world's longest hybrid coaster and the hybrid coaster with the most airtime in the world, and you feel it. This ride is so long that in some ways, you're like, when is this ride going to end? Because that's how long it is. It is so much fun. It was the first hyper hybrid. When this coaster opened, it broke every record in the world. Cedar Point was not able to be stopped by this thing, and well deserved. It is an absolutely incredible coaster. And like I said with Velocicoaster, if this is your number 1, completely understandable. At one point, it was my number 1, but absolutely amazing coaster. The inversions are a lot of fun. My favorite inversion is that downward 0G stall because of how snappy it is, and the airtime moments are great. Particularly, my favorite moment on the ride is the outer bank airtime hill towards the beginning of the ride. That is just such a sustained ejector airtime moment. It feels just like Air Force One's. But overall, this ride is absolutely incredible, and if you're ever going to Cedar Point or thinking about going to Cedar Point, this has to be on the top of your priority list out of any coaster at that park. I don't care what people say, this is the best coaster in literally almost the full world, but there is one more coaster that I think is just slightly better than Steel Vengeance. And that coaster is Iron Gwazi from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. Now, some people may be saying, well, this is absolute home park bias. And part of me is, yes, it is. But in my opinion, this ride just has the most qualities out of any coaster that I've done. It has airtime, laterals, amazing inversions, incredible pacing, and it's just so much fun to ride. I absolutely love riding this wherever I get to go to Busch Gardens, and it's just so much fun. I love the death roll on this thing. The drop is one of my favorite drops of all time, and the wave turn over to station is absolutely amazing. There is nothing else like that in the world. You will never experience airtime like that in the world. again. And there's just so many great moments of ejector airtime. Now, in my opinion, this ride is a shorter RMC, but the length is perfect, honestly. Honestly, if this thing went on a little bit too much longer, it might be a bit too much, almost like Air Force One. But overall, this ride's absolutely amazing. And if you ever get out to Busch Gardens, you have to ride this. Or even if you're in the state of Florida and you like riding roller coasters, you have to make it a point to go to Busch Gardens to ride this, because this thing is absolutely incredible. It is definitely the #1 roller coaster and definitely deserves every praise it gets. And absolutely love Iron Gwazi. It's such a great ride. Well, there it is. My top 25 favorite roller coasters that I've ridden so far in 2023. Yes, I know this is coming out in like the first few days of 2024, but it is what it is. I originally actually recorded this a few weeks ago, but as soon as I went to export the video, my file completely corrupted and I was not able to save it. So yeah, I made a whole new one. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think of this video? What are your favorite coasters? Leave that list down in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, hope to see you guys next time. I'll see you guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next video, and bye everyone.